Frogman Friday.
Yeah, boy.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Frogman Friday. I'm Ryan Birdman Parrott. Today, our badass guest is Kevin Kent, aka KK. He served 21 years as a U.S. Navy SEAL, exiting service as a Chief Petty Officer. He founded K Squared Inc. in 2016, which is a global company. You can follow Kevin on social media, handles to follow after the show. To learn more about K Squared Inc., go check out k-squared.cc or check out therealkevinkent.com. Brother, welcome to the show.
Thanks, buddy. Good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to see you. So quick story, because I try to relate everything. So you're at SEAL Team 5. I was at 7. And so I used to see you guys right next door to us, and when we have musters and that, and see you. Kevin's a huge dude. I'm quite big myself, not really. So I used to see this dude. I'm like, God, how do they make humans that large? And it's just always this quiet guy. And that's the cool thing is you get all these active duty SEALs that are just these hardcore dudes that most people don't know about. And most of them are introverted. And then Kevin gets out and gets into the world of entertainment, which is super cool. And you've crushed it. You've excelled. I've watched you through this process, just keep going better and better, and just is incredible. So why did you get out after a career in service and then go into the entertainment industry?
You know what? I kind of fell into this. I have twin boys who started off in the entertainment industry on a whim. My wife got them in when they were super young, in like 2006. And I would always go up on these film sets and kind of see them hanging out and stuff like that. And then the chance for me to do some work in the industry arrived when Harry Humphreys, who's been working in the entertainment industry for like 30 plus years. He started off with Jerry Bruckheimer, Michael Bay, adapting a screenplay for that book Rogue Warrior that was written back in the 80s or 90s about the formation of SEAL Team 6 with Dick Marcinko. So Harry had been working on a lot of stuff when the movie The Rock came out. And so Harry's been working with a lot of big name people ever since. So in 2008, 2009 timeframe, a chance came up. They need a bunch of people to go do reshoots for a film called Red, which was with Bruce Willis and John Malkovich. Really good show. It was a great opportunity for me. And I mean, something just clicked between Harry and I a little bit of, not necessarily film experience, but I'd been around enough sets to where I kind of knew the lingo. And, the film industry, like the military, is a lot like, it has its own acronyms, it has its own language. So do a lot of weird, PAs and ADs and this and that, there's a lot of acronyms that unless you work in the industry, you don't really know what it is. So me and Harry just kind of hit it off, and I started doing more and more work with him as my mentor. And honestly, he's been great. And for people who don't know Harry, he was Bud's class 29. He was an old Vietnam frogman and did a bunch of platoons in Vietnam, and just an all around great guy, very smart dude. He's in his civilian life, he's an engineer. He's like in many respects a lot like Forrest Gump, to where there's not a lot this guy has not done. And so he's been a great mentor to me in the industry. He brought me in for Red, and then quickly followed with Transformers 3, Transformers 4, a bunch of other television projects and stuff like that. And so it got to a point where we filmed Transformers 4 right about the time I was getting ready to either re-enlist or get out of the military. And I did 15 years at SEAL Team 5 with a couple of stints in between. I did 2 years at SQT as an instructor. And then my last 2 years I was in the military. I was a third phase BUDS instructor, like teaching weapons and stuff to the new meets coming through. And I'd be lying if I said I enjoyed it, because I'd never really liked being at the schoolhouse. I mean, it was kind of rewarding seeing some of the students kind of excel. And even to this day, I look back and people are like, oh yeah, I remember, Chief Kent. And I'm just like, yeah, don't call me that, but it's kind of weird. I was going to re-enlist and go back to Team 5. And interestingly enough, as happens with probably everyone can relate to this that's ever been in the SEAL teams. They messed up all my paperwork. So the career counselor messed everything up. I was supposed to go to Bahrain, re-enlist, and he's like, wait, you're at 19 years. Like, you're not re-enlisted till next year, right? And I was just like, dude, you know what? I'm getting the fuck out. And it actually worked out great. So I punched out in 2013. And from that respect, I kind of started cutting my teeth on a TV show called The Last Ship, which was filmed up in Manhattan Beach for the first season. Then a little bit after that, we were in Culver City, and Harry Humphreys was very integral in getting me the knowledge and really putting me in a position to succeed, to where, there's a lot of people that think you just get out of the military and like, I'll just go be a tech advisor. And I mean, some people can do that, and it is a difficult career path, and it's not very rewarding either, because a lot of people go, oh, he's the tech advisor, and it's kind of thankless because you sit behind a monitor almost the entire day, versus, somebody that comes in to be an actor, somebody that comes in to be stunts or something like that. And a lot of team guys can attest to this, who have pursued career paths in acting and stunts and stuff like that. You show up as an actor or stuntman, you go to your trailer, you dress, you're kind of waiting around until the director calls you, or one of the ADs calls you, and you go, and then you do your scene, and then you're either wrapped, you're done, and then you go back and go to your trailer, or get back out of costume, and then you're done for the day. Versus, in the world of being a tech advisor, you're setting up scenes, you may get a pre-call, you're training guys before they're actually rolling cameras. So you may train guys on how to, hold a gun, how to do a mag change, how to walk and talk without looking ridiculous on camera. And then, then we do the entire scene, and then you're still there afterwards because there's more scenes. So, it's kind of thankless in that respect. But for me, it's been really good, because it's got me in the door to where I eventually, I started film school about 2.5 years ago, and I just graduated in August with a degree in digital cinematography. So that's kind of put me in a position to where I want to start directing more. I've done some short films and stuff like that. So the whole tech advisor gig is kind of a stepping stone to doing more, bigger and better things. So I hope that answers your question in a roundabout way. The things I'm doing now, since, Transformers 3, 4, 5, 6 was Bumblebee. I've done, 13 hours, a lot of interesting things that you wouldn't really think about team guys being on. Like I did Skull Island, or it was called Kong Skull Island with Sam Jackson. It was an old Vietnam throwback. And then actually me and Harry Humphreys were in Thailand for 4 months back in 2019 doing a Spike Lee movie, of all things, which was a whole new experience working with a high profile director like Spike Lee. And I really didn't know what to expect. I was just like, man, this dude's either going to just eat our lunch and just be, super militant, but dude, he was actually one of the smartest directors I've worked with, like super organized. Just, he's like, hey, how many days you need to train? And I'm used to asking for 5 to get 3. And I'm like, hey, if we can train every single day, it's just going to make the guys look better. And he was like, fine, train every day. I'm like, oh shit. Like, great. Now I got to work every day. No, but it worked out great. He was filming a lot of flashback scenes, and we were using a lot of stunt doubles. So, I'm training the actors for a certain role, and then I'm training the stunt doubles to do all of the military and tactical movement, which worked out really, really good. And the movie came out great. He shot all the flashback scenes in 16 millimeter film, which was really, really crazy, because you get that real grainy look. And so it worked out good. So, right now, the projects I'm on. Like I finished up the Tomorrow War, which was a Chris Pratt film, which I think just came out this past June or July. We filmed that about a year and a half ago, and then obviously because of COVID, there was a lot of hiccups there. I just finished working on another show that's way out of my realm. It was a Walking Dead spinoff. It was called The Walking Dead World Beyond, and it's like a Gen Z take on like zombies. So essentially there's a lot of very young people on this show, and there's a military force called the Civil Republic Military, CRMs, and they're all dressed in black, like neoprene suits to keep the zombies from biting them, and they're wearing these crazy helmets, and they have these interestingly enough, they had AR-15s, but they had these giant friggin' trident pitchforks on the end of them, which were supposed to be on like this pneumatic system so they could stab a zombie in the head and then the thing would retract, which was kind of crazy. So I did that in Virginia this year for like April, May, into June. And then I was back and forth to Budapest in May, June, and July. Actually, May through, I just wrapped last week on season 3 of Jack Ryan, and which has been a really great experience. I've been on that show since season 1. And so this last season we filmed Budapest, Slovakia, Prague, Athens, Greece, Spain. I think that's it. So that was great. Like we were filming all over the place with that one. So that one's season 3 should come out next year, probably late fall, because just how the timing works out with post-production, everything like that. And we're going to go right into season 4. So probably flying back out to Budapest here in a few weeks to start season 4 of Jack Ryan. And that's going to be in Budapest again, probably Croatia, Canary Islands. I don't know. Some of these locations aren't really set in stone, and it's kind of hearsay, but I know we're filming in and around Europe quite a bit. So
let me get this straight.
That's kind of what I've been up to, man.
So you've done tech advising, you've done some directorial stuff, you've done stunt doubling and acting. You've done everything.
Yeah, it's been, I'd say in the last 5 years, it's really ramped up a lot. You know, I kind of did a little bit of stunt work, Transformers, you know, that's kind of, they bring us in as a essentially playing ourselves. They bring us in to be soldiers, and then we wind up shooting guns and, you know, going to the ground, taking hits, stuff like that, which essentially is a stunt. I haven't done any real crazy stunts until I doubled this guy named Cowan. His name's Mike Mitchell in the real world, but he played a character named Cowan in the Tomorrow War. And he's a big dude, like bigger than me. And I doubled him, and I did a couple of falls from like 30 feet, like belayed off a tech line. And man, dude, I got some good stuff off of that, man. I was like, we did like 4 good falls, and Tommy Harper, who's the stunt coordinator and second unit director on that show, was like, just, you know, very supportive. Cause I mean, I was like, dude, I'm a 47-year-old frogman. I've had 8 knee surgeries. Both my shoulders are jacked. Both my hips are jacked. My back, you know the deal. And it's just like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'm just going to fall off a 30-foot bridge 4 times and land on my friggin', you know, they had already shot the scenes with the actor. So they're like, yeah, we want you to land on your right leg because he breaks his leg. And I was just like, oh yeah, I can do that. Super easy.
Yeah. So you're like, you want me to actually break my leg?
Yeah. I'm like, it'd be easier. Let me just do that. Yeah. So yeah, it's been good, man. And getting into film school through Full Sail, that was kind of under the pressuring of a couple of directors I worked with on Jack Ryan. One of the directors, her name is Denny Gordon, and she is a really cool, very smart director. She actually directed Joe Dirt. So like right there, you can kind of see what her wit and what her talent is, but she's a very, very awesome person. I actually linked up with her in Prague about a month ago, and she's shooting some stuff over there, and we had a great little reunion. But some of the stuff we shot in season 2 of Jack Ryan, like this, there's like a POW or like a prisoner prison camp that we had to liberate, and she essentially let me set up a lot of the scenes. It was like, hey, how would you do this? And I'm just going through it, and she's like, and you know, for her, she's like, man, she's like, you need to get in the schoolhouse and learn the technical aspect of some of this stuff. And she's like, you're already invaluable to a film crew because you know how everything looks and you can set everything up to lens. But she's like, being able to talk to a director of photography and go, hey, I think we should set this up here with like a 35 millimeter, or hey, we need a long lens over here, we need to shoot it from this angle, and do stuff like that. And so after we wrapped season 2, I started looking into some film stuff, and I knew I needed something that was all online, because there's no way I was going to be able to continue to work in the industry and you know, sit in a classroom. So actually Kenny Sheard, who was a Team 7 guy, good friend of mine, he had gone to Full Sail to get his master's in screenwriting, MFA, Master in Fine Arts for writing. And he's actually writing on and producing on SEAL Team right now with a bunch of our other Frogman brothers. But he kind of was like, hey, it's pretty good school. And, you know, we shot a short film that he did down in Miami. And so I started looking into it and like, hey, all right, I'm going to make the plunge, and jumped into that. And, you know, was going to school again. It was kind of crazy because, you know, I went to school right out of high school, went to college right out of high school. And, you know, I hated high school. I was like, man, I'm joining the military. I'm getting out of here. Grew up in a really small town. There's nothing there. And went to college for one semester. I was like, yep, see you later. I'm joining the military. So, you know, from then on, I was been in the teams, and but it's very interesting because the things you learn in the teams, and then I go back to school, and I wouldn't say it was easy, but I mean, I learned so many things to where, you know, a lot of the stuff doesn't matter. You know, you can sit and, like, for example, they tell you to pick a topic to write about, and we're on a discussion board, a weekly discussion board with other students to try to get you to network with other students, because you're not in a classroom. So we're on a weekly discussion board. And I mean, there would be students in there that would just sit and dwell on the topic. They're like, oh man, I've got to find the perfect topic. I don't know what to do. Like, and I was just like, just pick something and write on it. Nobody cares. You're not getting a Pulitzer Prize for this. You know what I mean? It's like, just pick something that you're either knowledgeable about or that interests you, and just write on it, because they're not critiquing you on the topic. They're critiquing you on everything else. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of things like that, where I'm just like, man, just step 1, boom, pick a topic. Step 2, start this, boom, you know, and so it actually worked out really good. I graduated in August with a 3.9 GPA, and dude, just crushed it, man. And the last 6 months was just constantly filming short film content, I did 4 short films, and I did 3 commercials for a real estate agent here in San Diego. So I shot a commercial, or 3 commercials for him. And then I shot one kind of I think it's 10 minute short film with that featured my family. So my sons who, you know, like I said before, started off in the industry. They were on shows like Big Love, which was Bill Paxton about polygamists, and they were on Weeds, and they've done a bunch of stuff. And, you know, since going to high school, they're 16 now. Since they started high school, they were too cool for the film industry. So I kind of got them back into that. And I shot a really interesting short film about it involves a werewolf, and I've had a ton of support. I actually had an Oscar-winning makeup artist named Howard Berger who lent me this giant werewolf head. Is like animatronic, like crazy. Like, he's like, oh man, I'll just send it to you. I'm just like, no, let me rent it from you. He's like, no, I'm sending it to you right now. I'm like, well, let me pay for postage. He's like, nah, fuck that. I'm like, all right. And so I wound up using this werewolf head for this reveal. And I mean, it was really good. I shot all of that in about, it took me a while to shoot it and edit it and all that stuff. And it was, obviously going to school and it was for school projects. So I had to turn in certain things for that. And then the last month I had to shoot two short films in a month, and they had to be, a certain time limit. And so I shot this very interesting one called Exploited that featured my daughter, who's she's 12. But it was all silent and it was all had subtitles and it had a lot of statistics and stuff. And it was actually kind of an interesting topic because it focused on abduction and basically child abuse, or not child abuse, but the child sex trade. And so, and more so people using social media to kind of trap these kids and then essentially kidnapping them. So that was a very interesting thing I shot with my daughter, submitted that, and I actually won that film festival for school. And then I shot another one with one of the actors from Jack Ryan in Budapest. And I shot it. It was inside the airport in Budapest, and kind of guerrilla style, and kind of got penalized for that one. They're like, hey, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be filming here. And like, oh, sorry. Beg for forgiveness,
Yes. Hey, if
so
you
that
haven't,
worked out great, man.
for the viewers, if you haven't watched Jack Ryan, you got to go check it out, because it's like James Bond. I'm a huge James Bond fan, so it's like James Bond on steroids. It's just really, really cool. When it came out, I was like, all right, I automatically already knew that you were part of it, so I'm like, all right, check it out, because I don't watch a whole lot of TV. I was just like, whoa, this is cool. And how those ones go where you just like, all right, I can't, like, there's a couple that I have to binge watch just because I'm so busy. Yeah. But then there's those ones that you get, you start watching it right out of the get go, and you have to wait every week to watch her when the next one comes out. Yeah. It pisses me off. I'm like,
dude, me up, man.
Oh, so that's awesome, man. So what? Yeah. Tell me, what is K Squared Inc?
So K Squared, essentially, I started my own company because I was doing tech advising on set, and then I'm training actors as well. And then we always get roped in. I wouldn't say roped in. We always get brought in to do security for some of the high profile actors as well, actors and directors. So like we did security for Michael Bay and Mark Wahlberg in Hong Kong when we were filming Transformers 4. And there's, we did security for John Krasinski in Morocco and Paris. Just kind of, we get to some of these places where they're a little bit sketchy. I mean, we basically got chased off a set in Morocco when we were filming 13 Hours with like machete wielding madmen, and so we basically had to throw Michael Bay into a vehicle and haul ass out of there, and then ultimately the producers have to go back in there and buy equipment back, or try and get all of our gear back. So there's just weird shit that goes on. And so so I started the company as kind of a way to recoup some of the money, because I would always, I want to buy holsters and, guns and, all kinds of stuff. I'm training people all the time. And it's more of a way for me to kind of keep my private life separate from my work, and, to be able to have tax write-offs and stuff like that. So that's essentially what I started for. And then that kind of grew into, when I started school, I kind of brought K Squared Productions under K Squared Incorporated to be a branding. And that was the good thing about going to the school. They kind of make you do all this stuff. They make you build a website. They make you build logos and branding and all this stuff to kind of get your name out there. So, K Squared kind of turned into, I wouldn't say it's me personally, because I do have people that work for me. And even like this week, I did security for a Naval Special Warfare Navy SEAL Foundation event that was here in San Diego. And so I'm able to, because I have insurance and all this stuff with the security side through K Squared, I'm able to hire local law enforcement, bring those guys in. We utilize dogs to search, the whole area and make sure there's no suspicious activity or suspicious packages, stuff like that. So that's what K Squared Incorporated is all about. More so trying to stay relevant in the film industry, but at the same time, we train actors and stuntmen and, do security, all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's a lot. I mean, it's not just entertainment, but it's providing that security detail. You get to hire your brothers to do it as well. Keeps you in the environment that you used to be a part of for so long, and keeps them at, the A game that they have been trained in. So that's awesome stuff. 10 years from now, you watch this video. What do you want to say to yourself? Where do you want to be?
Oh man. Hopefully I'm directing. Hopefully, I'm writing screenplays. I have a screenplay in the hopper right now that I've been writing for about a year. And it, ultimately I want to get to the point where I'm directing, writing my own content, and doing my own stuff. And still maybe producing and still advising on shows. So 10 years from now, I hope I can look back on this and say, yeah, I had a great career path in mind. And I, ultimately only time will tell. So yeah.
Fair enough, man. Well, I know you're going to do it. I've been watching you. Why don't we close on this? Tell us about a brother of yours you served with that gave, paid the ultimate sacrifice, or a hero of yours. Tell us a story about somebody real quick so that you can share that with the viewers, your hero.
Oh man, there's too many.
I hear that, brother.
Yeah. I mean, I got a couple different really good friends of mine who, one of them recently passed away, Scotty Wirtz. His call sign was Spam, and he was working with DIA overseas, and really, really just a genuine guy. He's been contracting since I believe about 2005, and this time he wound up catching a IED in Syria with a bunch of other contractors and active duty Navy personnel through DIA. And Scotty was just a genuine good dude. Like he was at Team 5. I think his whole career, he was always in my sister platoons, just a genuine dude. Always had a smile on his face, no matter, how shitty it was, but, I've tried to bring in nicknames and stuff like that. So when we're shooting projects, let's say, for example, Jack Ryan, and it's like, hey, SOG member number 4. And I'm always going to production, more so John Krasinski, because he's an executive producer, and I have his ear. He's a really good dude, and he's all about hooking up military and representing the military in a great light. So I've approached him a few times with like, hey, we should, instead of making this guy so-and-so, let's make him, this guy or this guy or this guy, so I always throw code names in there. Like 13 Hours, we were throwing names in there for guys. Same thing for when I did 12 Strong, all the birds, doing like Badger and Wookie, and, so all these call signs of birds, if you listen to some of these birds, it's like, Badger 37 or Wookie 99 or, stuff like this. Another really great friend of mine, Jeff Enderland, everybody called him Indy. He was my sniper shooting partner going through sniper school. And I was in my second platoon. Jeff was probably in his 4th or 5th platoon. And he was one of my mentors coming into the teams. But I just remember being in sniper school, and I was shooting a 300 Win Mag, the UKD, and we're up in Coalinga, up in Northern California by Fresno in California. And I'm on my gun, and I'm, UKD, basically like you mill out the targets. You don't know what the distance on these targets are for the layman who may not know what this is. So UKD is unknown distance. So you're on one, we were shooting across the valley. So we're on one hill, and on the other side of the hill, there's a bunch of targets, and they're all numbered, and we mill these things out. We put them on a range card, and then, they tell us, hey, this is the order you're going to shoot. And essentially you got 3 shots to hit this thing, because you shoot once based on what you milled this target at through your scope, and using your mill dots. And there's a formula. It's like so many dots, and you've put it into the formula. You figure out, okay, it's however many yards away. And so first shot, boom, like 9 o'clock. And Indy is on the scope behind me. He's sitting there, and you're waiting for a call, like, hey, low, come up, 3 clicks, or left, or something. And Indy's just sitting there. I'm like, hey, what do you got? He goes, oh man, I didn't see it. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, all right, hey, I'm gonna shoot again. Boom. And the spotter can usually see the bullet trail, and it'll see a splash. Hopefully it hits dirt and somewhere, or it could be hitting the target, and you'll see a splash off the target, and you'd be like, hey, direct hit. You hit, center mass, or left shoulder, right shoulder, headshot, whatever. But you're waiting for him to say, hey, you're right, a foot or 6 inches or whatever. Hey, hold left, 2 mils or some shit. So nothing. Second shot, I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, all right, boom, third shot, nothing. I'm like, so I flunked this UKD, this whole test. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me. And so then the retest, they give you another spotter and you shoot again. Luckily I passed. But so fast forward, we get out of sniper school, and we're at, I think we're at my birthday. We're somewhere in like Pacific Beach, and we're getting ready to go to, I don't know where we're going. We're in the middle of ULT. Indy comes in, and dude, he's like, his eyes are watering. He's like rubbing his fucking eyes. I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? He goes, oh, it's like, dude, I just had PRK surgery. My eyes feel like fucking sandpaper. I'm like, dude, you don't wear glasses. He's like, yeah, no. I always had really fucked up eyes. He goes, I have really poor eyesight. I'm like, dude, I'm like, you never wear glasses. And I'm like, he's like, waiting for this dude to friggin' give me my calls for my shots through the spotting scope. And he's just like, yeah, man, I didn't even see anything. It was classic Jeff Enderlin,
Dude,
great dude, man.
That is epic. Wow. I went through sniper school, and of course my shots were all center mass. So you know how that goes.
Of course.
Absolutely. Back in the day. Well, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on, brother. And I appreciate you honoring the brothers. I knew one of those guys, but it's just amazing to see so many guys, how many guys we've lost since the beginning of these wars. And, and continue to still lose from other effects. So we're going to keep the Brotherhood's legacy alive, man. And we're going to continue to push your word out and follow you, dude. You're on this crazy trajectory. Everybody knows that we're watching you just crush it out there. And we wish you all the success in the world. And
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So check out therealkevinkent.com. That's the man himself right there. He's even got hats that say it.
Yeah.
And appreciate you being here, bro.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll be seeing you soon, huh?
All right. For sure.
Later, bro.
Cool. Later.